Today we will cover the 3 indices. Remember, we are not financial advisors. Please do your own research before you make any trades. All right, Paul, let's get started.
All right, let's take a look at the Dow. Last week we talked about this megaphone pattern developing. Now I think this megaphone pattern is out. And the reason why I say that is because as the pattern was developing, really what was happening is we're just getting higher highs and we're not really having the dip that we need for it to fully develop into the megaphone pattern. Although we did have 3 touches on the bottom and 3 touches on the top. Now it's actually breached through the top, and it's really breached a couple of times. At one point we had the pattern here. If we left the pattern there, which looks like the strongest version of the pattern, it's breached twice through. So as of now, I'm calling this not a megaphone pattern. That being said, it is getting very overextended on the upside. However, the volume is somewhat supporting it. We have major positive volume on all of these up days, although the volume is declining slightly as it gets higher and higher. So we do still have this long support, but we're very extended off that support. I mean, we haven't actually hit that support since the end of October. There's going to have to be some kind of correction coming down the pike. I personally am staying away from the Dow in terms of investing in the Diamonds ETF because it just seems overextended to me. Let's, however, take a look at Nasdaq and see what this index has to say. Nasdaq is still continuing a very bullish bounce off this support. And this is a long-term support. We've got 3 very solid, basically perfect touches. And after this 3rd bounce, very strong volume. Now, we had a negative volume that got us down, but we've had basically alternating green and red volume days supporting this price movement. We did get at the low on Friday about 3.8% away from support, but it closed 5% away from support. So it's moving upwards, even though it closed below the previous day's close. So it was a down day, but the more in-depth detail is that there was a lot of action in both directions. So I'm still looking at this as a very solid bounce. It's questionable whether or not this is still a good time to enter a trade, since it's 5% off of support, which is not crazy because you could still do a 5 to 7% trailing stop loss. That would put you 1 or 2% below support. If it does breach the support, then it's got a long ways to go, and you'd be stopped out 1 or 2% into that drop. So I feel pretty bullish about Nasdaq buying on the dip, which really is just a bounce. You can call it a dip. I'm calling it a bounce because that's what it's been doing. All right, time to look at the S&P 500. S&P 500 is a little bit of a mixed bag in the sense that it also started creating this possible megaphone pattern. It has more potential to be a megaphone pattern than the Dow because it hasn't really reached the upper end, and it doesn't need to because it's already reached that upper resistance several times and the lower support 3 solid touches. So it could decide to all of a sudden crash down here 6% away from a solid breach. So it could go either way. I don't feel bullish about the S&P 500 in terms of it's at a good bounce level. And the S&P 500 is basically a benchmark for the entire stock market. So does that mean you should not invest in any individual stocks? It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that I would be cautious. If a individual stock isn't flashing a very clear buy pattern, probably want to wait a little bit to see how this shakes out, because even if it's not a megaphone pattern, it's still in the middle of this whole range here. Before it even gets up to this resistance up here, it's almost 3% away, 2.5%, but it's 4% away from the support. It could easily bounce down support, and you don't want to lose 4% for nothing. Also, the volume is decreasing substantially as the price is going up. So I think we should just wait a little bit, be a little more patient to see how this is going to shake out over the next few days. By the end of this next week, I'm sure we'll have a very clear answer.
Thanks, Paul. That's some really great information. Definitely looks like a weight on the S&P 500 at this point. Please also watch our videos on some individual stocks that we did purchase this last week. Again, our aim is to make 5% every single month, and those videos might shed some more light on our trajectory to that. So thanks again, and have a great day.